Hi everyone, welcome to the Monkey Patching Podcast, where we go bananas about all things Sora, shopping, and more. My name is Murillo, joined by my friend Bart. Hey Bart.
Hi Murillo.
How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Very well. So you snatched the last days of the fleeting days of summer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, caught a few days of sun in the Aosta Valley in the north of Italy.
Nice. Oh wow, all the way really, really cool. Hope it was good. Hope you're
It was very good. Yeah,
refreshed.
had a bit of running in the mountains.
That's very nice. That's very nice. Cool. What do we have for today? Would you like to start, or should I start?
I'll kick it off. Fivetran is reportedly in advanced talks to acquire DBT Labs in a multibillion-dollar deal bundling pipelines with transformations. The pair already share 1,000 joint customers and integrations, and Fivetran just bought Census and Tobacco to bolster ELT. If it lands, expect a one-stop data stack geared for AI prep and fewer handoffs across the modern data platform.
So, Fivetran is the extract load tool, right? And now they're talking about buying DBT. Very surprised by this.
So Fivetran is a big cloud solution, been around for quite a while. I want to say at least 10 years. That does a lot on the data pipeline in general. I think their original focus is when you look at ELT, extract, load, transform. I think their initial focus was very much on the EL part. And they bought Census recently. Census is a reverse ETL tool. Basically to get data from your data lake or data warehouse back into your operational systems. Tobacco is a tool that focuses very much on the T part, transformation part, with, for example, SQL Mesh, which is actually a competitor to DBT.
Yep, I was going to say that.
And now they're apparently in talks with DBT to acquire DBT and their solutions. So, which would be a big consolidation in the space. Basically, the whole ELT space becomes Fivetran.
Exactly. I was going to say, and what do you think of that actually? Do you think there are any positives that can come from this?
That's a good question. I think competition is always a good thing, right? And this removes a bit of competition. Of course, it creates space for new competitors to pop up. That's
True.
one thing. I think DBT, it's maybe a bit of a hot take, always had a bit of a trouble to find a good market fit with their DBT cloud offering, which is basically their commercial offering. Also because their open source offering is very good. And actually, like what Fivetran and a number of players already did is that they had their own DBT core executors, which you could already run. So you didn't really need to use DBT cloud, even if when you were on something like Fivetran. Even though Fivetran did support integration with DBT cloud, or does support. So I think DBT cloud was under a lot of pressure to have a good offering, and I've been struggling a bit for a while to provide that. But Fivetran clearly has. Like I think these are 2024 numbers, if I'm not mistaken. They reported that they had something like 300 million in ARR. It's a huge customer base for us.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, but again, I'm not as close to the DBT labs and all these things, but I also have the similar feeling as you, that DBT is super popular, but DBT labs struggle to get a piece of that, the usage, the profits and all these things. So yeah, maybe for DBT labs, it's a happy story maybe for them.
Well, let's see. I don't think so. This is what I understand is these are rumors. This is not officially been acknowledged by either Fivetran or DBT. So let's see what it gives, right? But of course, creates a big roll up in the space, like a big consolidation, like what happens to DBT Core, for example.
For me, the bigger question was SQL Mesh. It is already owned by Tobacco, right? And SQL Mesh.
It was a product from Tobico, right?
Yeah, indeed. So SQL Mesh, I've always seen it, so I haven't used it, but from what I saw, it was like an alternative to DBT.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So for me, that's also the bit okay, Fivetran owns both. Then are they going to focus more on one? Is one going to be dropped? Do we still have the competition? To me, that was a bit the biggest.
That's a good question. And I think from a commercial standpoint, it's just like when you look at the ELT space, like Tobico and DBT are both on the T, the transformation part. And like to me, it's a bit of what they're doing is a horizontal integration. And like you just buy up the competitors in that space. And then you become the only solution.
Yeah, indeed.
And what that means for the individual competitors, like and the products they have, like SQL Mesh and DBT Core remains a bit to be seen towards the future. But I think it's unlikely that we will see active development on the two as we've seen the last years.
Yeah.
If this comes to fruition, of course, it's still early days.
Yeah. I also heard from colleagues they were discussing this, and they said they were surprised that Fivetran was the one that entered in talks with DBT Labs, that they thought that Snowflake was gonna be the one to sit down with DBT, let's say. I think also, again, I'm not as in the loop with all the discussion that DBT Labs has, but I know that DBT Labs had some like nice integrations with Snowflake for like the Python models and all these things, right? So I think they do collaborate, but they mentioned they were a bit surprised by Fivetran being the one to initiate the talks.
Mm-hmm.
Were you also surprised by this, or you didn't really think about it much, or you think it makes sense?
Don't really have an opinion on it. I think I think Snowflake already has a very strong name in the market.
Yeah, true.
As a one-stop shop for everything around your data needs. It already has this name. And I think especially at least in the European market, I can't really speak for the US market. Fivetran is more, here is this tooling that you can do to ease a bit, like how you extract stuff and then you upload it in a bit of a drag and drop point of view. Like it doesn't have this strong name in the market as this is your one-stop shop. And I think it makes it from a strategic point of view, like if they acquire DBT, like it's suddenly, like it adds to their recognizability as the solution for data.
I see. No, it's yeah, true. I didn't know Fivetran was that big, actually, to be honest. Because I think it's like what you said, every time Fivetran is mentioned, it's not given as much emphasis, right? Like I don't immediately think like, whoa, this is a...
Yeah, I don't think we see it very much here domestically. That is true. But like I said, like it already exists for a very long time. And I think people that looked at it 10 years ago and maybe didn't go for it also haven't really checked it out in the meantime. I think that is the danger. And also like from a more, if you're an enterprise customer and you make this choice, you're going to make a choice for a number of years, right?
Yeah, true. True. All right. So, what else do we have? We have testing Veritas, an employee-only chatbot to trial Siri's AI upgrades with no public launch planned. Staff use it to chat through tasks like searching personal data or editing photos, while Apple leans on Google's Gemini for AI search. If it stays internal, does Apple cede the consumer chatbot moment to rivals or double down on on-device Siri later? Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Like Apple has struggled with the whole AI boom, right? They've always been, it's an interesting story, right? Because like Apple has always been like elegant and like the still on the forefront of technology, but Siri has never been a really product that stuck as an AI product. The AI boom came, they didn't really upgrade Siri. They didn't really buy stuff from competitors much. And then they tried Apple Intelligence after a long time. There was a lot of expectations. Apple Intelligence fell flat a bit, right? I think there's a lot of stories of like hallucinations and stuff. Even on the Apple Intelligence, they also mentioned partnering with ChatGPT, which was also, it caught some attention, right? I don't know if it was the first time, but it's not something they do often to delegate things.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a whole discussion like, should they just buy stuff? Like right now they rely on Google AI, Google's Gemini. Should they build something themselves? And apparently they're still working on this, right? For me, once you work on something for a long time, the expectations naturally grow, right? And I feel like they're just digging a hole for themselves, it feels, right? Like if they said that it's not planned to announce to consumers. I don't know, like maybe we better to just say, okay, we partner with Gemini and now Siri is, powered by Gemini, instead of, I don't know, try to keep building your own thing and staying behind and like announcing it or putting expectations, and when it comes out, the expectations are so high that you're never going to fulfill it. How do you feel about this?
So I'm still hopeful that we will have a good Siri within the year. So this, but how again, a rumor more or less, right? That we're seeing like the rumor is that they have this internal chatbot that they're testing out to basically like interact with the Apple ecosystem on your phone, on your device. And indeed, like we've seen things like this being released, like the Apple Intelligence. There is an existing ChatGPT integration with Apple Intelligence, which I've tested out with, and it's really horrible. I understand, like maybe they should just go for Google Gemini or whatever. But to me, Siri is something that should be so core to how you interact with your Apple ecosystem. Like it needs to be an Apple product to really have this deep integration to do these things. And it is really, really a pity that it can't do it today. Yeah. And I think also from a security point of view, it will always be very hard to have an external provider do this, unless they say, please build our app for us. But I doubt that they will do that. Maybe as an intermediary solution, but going forward, this will be really key, I think. No, this is just like Siri is shitty today, yeah. But you should be able to just say to your phone, make this note, and then also plan this in my agenda and send off this message. But you can't say that in one sentence, right? Like maybe you can do it and then you need to 15 minutes need to talk to your phone and say, no, not that. No, please.
Yeah, but it's almost like you're describing clicks with speech, right? Like do this, now do this, now do this. It's not very fluent, right?
And I think they will need to do something, and I think they're big enough. They have enough of the mobile market share to not be the first mover on that, but they will have to come up with something that is very nicely integrated.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just, to me, it's a bit, I think it's more like the expectations, right? I feel like it's been long enough that people are going to expect a lot. And I feel like, I don't know if they were, the impression I had, so again, I don't follow Apple announcements as closely, but the impression I had is that they were waiting for something quote unquote perfect to really wow everyone.
Yeah, but what they also did and this is a few months ago, and I'm a bit scarce on the details by now, but they did a whole change in the leadership team on the product development behind Siri and Apple Intelligence not that long ago. And I hope that, but to get to market after a change of leadership team on a product, like it will take you probably 6 months. So I hope to see something in the coming.
Yeah, because I vaguely remember something like that as well. That Siri was a product that within Apple, it was a different division or something. So we felt it like it was a bit neglected in terms of how integrated it is with this and that and the development. A lot of details missing, but I do remember that the Siri story at Apple was bigger than just Apple Intelligence. Like for years, it wasn't a new problem, let's say. It was something that kind of built up to this point, right? But yeah, you're a big Siri user, no?
I wish I was a big Siri user, but
you're a big speech to text or voice AI user.
I do use ChatGPT a lot in voice mode.
Yeah. Okay. And use it like on your, I don't know, you're home doing something and you just talk to it?
So for example, when we prepare for the podcast, like we have the list of our articles that we're going to go over, and I use the voice mode and in ChatGPT to really interrogate a bit, like deep dive on some stuff, and to understand really like a bit in a very easy way when I'm just hands-free doing something else, and to have a bit better understanding of the article, to do some deeper research on some topics that are not described in the article.
I see. So like you're using your talk to prepare for this, to get a better, like, say this and that. Cool. And now you're not afraid of hallucinations anymore, right? I feel like 2025, we're not really concerned about these things anymore. I feel like 1 year ago.
We're not?
I mean, I feel like we mentioned, like when you Google something, see the summary. I mean, most of the times, like, yeah, that's pretty good, right? Like you don't see the things like, I don't know, like I feel like we are trusting more.
But I think GPT-5, maybe they actually know this because I use the audio mode quite a bit. So GPT-5 was really a step up in terms of, well, or a step down, depending on your point of view, in terms of hallucinations, avoiding hallucinations.
I see.
Voice mode still uses 4.0. And it's like, you really need to be aware that this can happen.
Ah, really? So like you do talk to it, but you still verify everything that it's saying, or you have a critical ear to it, like, oh, that doesn't sound right.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. Very cool. So let's hope that Siri can be a contender at least. I also heard that, like, this was a while ago as well, but I think Amazon's Alexa, they were partnering with Claude as well for the voice and stuff. Oh yeah, cool. And what else do we have?
OpenAI launched instant checkout, letting US ChatGPT users buy from Etsy and soon Shopify without leaving the conversation. Payments run through Apple Pay, Google Pay, Stripe, or cards, and results are organic and unsponsored with a small merchant fee. Open sourcing the Agentic commerce protocol could shift product discovery power from search engines and marketplaces to chat agents. What do you think about this, Milo? The ability to buy through your ChatGPT app?
I don't know. I think it's interesting. Well, I know that maybe it's interesting for OpenAI, right, to tap into new revenue. I mean, they're already doing ads, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe it feels like a logical next step.
Are they doing ads?
They were. Like if you, like, ads in the sense, like if you say, what's a good protein powder? And then you say, oh, these are some protein powders that I can, like you can go to the website and you have the pricing and this and this. Yeah, they had some stuff.
But they're not paid ads, right?
I don't know if they're paid. I don't think they are.
I don't think so.
But I think, like, if you're starting to show products to people that they can go on the website and buy, I think it makes sense that now you're directly there, right? I don't know if I trust it enough that I would just kind of talk to ChatGPT, find a product and just buy it. I'll probably want to do my due diligence, right? I mean, most of the times as well, like I already do my due diligence, like looking at reviews. Is the best price or something like that? So I think it makes sense. Not as surprised maybe, but one thing that I thought it was interesting from this announcement is that they are releasing another protocol, the Agentic Commerce Protocol. So right now, like, there's MCP that I know of. There's MCP, there's A2A, so that's from Google, right? The agent to agent. There was an ACP, which was Agent Context Protocol, I think. That was from IBM and then merged to A2A. There is one ACP from Z that is called the Agent Client Protocol. And now there's another ACP that is the Agentic Commerce Protocol. And apparently they built this in partnership with Stripe.
Yeah, to me, like it's a bit of a, maybe a bit of a, like the comparison doesn't really make sense. Like these are protocols meant for different things. Like, and there's within those there are overlap.
But to me, it's just like it's always the same name.
What is interesting, like the Agentic Commerce Protocol, it actually does compete with Google's. So Google does have its own, and it let me look.
It's payment protocol.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there we will probably see a battle on what becomes the dominant protocol.
For sure. I think they are for different things. Huh?
Yeah, and this is very much based on transactions, right? Which is something very specific again.
But I also feel that since they saw how big MCP got and all these things, now they're doing protocols for everything related to agents.
I think the difficult thing on this is that you need to, because why? So shopping on ChatGPT, what I already do is that, let's say I'm not very brand loyal when it comes to running shoes, for example.
Okay.
But I do have some requirements in terms of specific features. And then I ask, because typically I buy shoes like once a year. And then a year later, I ask ChatGPT, like, do some extensive research, which brands have shoes with these features, which is a lot of work if you need to do it yourself, right? And then I get to a top 3 and I do some reviews on that.
Yeah.
And I think it would be nice if I can then just click, say, okay, please also sell it to my house. But the problem with this is a bit like with this very early days, is like what I will be hesitant to do is like, because they're onboarding Etsy now, then Shopify. Shopify, of course, is way, way, way bigger than just Etsy. But it's still just Etsy and Shopify. So will we get a bit of a bias on what will be provided to you as buying options, right? Just because these are integrated with ChatGPT.
Yeah,
that's what I would worry about a bit.
Well, but I think if they do this protocol, they're trying to also nudge.
Well, exactly. And that's a bit the point I was trying to make. Need something like a very dominant, open, transparent protocol, which makes it very easy for everybody to just say, okay, I'm going to opt in to also sell on ChatGPT. Because to me, like trusting this, buying on something on ChatGPT stands or falls a bit on like how many companies offer this stuff on ChatGPT.
Yeah. Like any protocol, right? Like if people use it, then it's valuable. If it's a protocol that no one uses, it's not. Because also like by having this protocol, Claude could also do the same thing technically, right?
True. Yeah.
Gemini as well, right? And I think it's then you're really nudging people to adopt this, right? Which is true. I mean, again, even if there is more, would nudge it more towards Stripe platforms. Even if Amazon implements this, right? And they say, this is available. But I don't know, right? It's a bit, I don't know. I don't know if I trust it enough, let's say. I mean, I think there's also a few things, huh? Like if you don't care, like if you just get a shoe that you know meets your requirements and you're happy with it, like you know it's going to be a good shoe. You know you're not going to be disappointed. Maybe that's fine. But maybe if you want the best shoe, then maybe also this is not the best tool for it, right? But then at the same time, you cannot bypass the actual work of vetting all the things and reviewing all the things, right? It's kind of like, I read somewhere, like if you do interviews, what you want, you want people that are good. You don't want necessarily the best. What you want when you're interviewing is like, you don't want to have someone that is not qualified to get in, but someone that is qualified to get out, it's okay. And I'm wondering if it's kind of the same thing here, right? Like when you're shopping, maybe for you, right? If there is a qualified shoe or even a better shoe that falls out of the scope of search, maybe that's fine. Because the other ones are also acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think and if that's the case, maybe using AI for going shopping and all these things, it's fine, right? Like maybe you won't get the best price, but it's the shoe you want. It's a decent price, and it's.
Yeah, to me the major thing is more like what I don't want is that I just get suggestions of the things that are integrated.
But what if the things that are integrated like meet your needs though?
But that's a very biased view on the world then, because then suddenly like your options to buy is just what is integrated with OpenAI.
For sure, but
I would be very hesitant towards something like that. But
would you like? Yeah, no, I agree. I would too. But I'm being a bit advocate to myself. But you would never really know, right? Because OpenAI is not. First of all, it's a large language model, and the other thing is it's not open, right? So if OpenAI says, yeah, we have from different vendors, but they're still routing 90% to one vendor, you won't know, right? Like if they bias more towards Stripe than Amazon because they want to, because they have a partnership or whatever.
Yeah, but that's something else. That to me is like, but then you're actually talking about like, and that is not part of the discussion today. Then you're saying like, I'm going to pay more merchant fees from my shop to OpenAI for you to promote me. when someone asks. And that's not part of the discussion today, but you do have that, of course, on something like Amazon. If I pay extra, I get on the number one of the listing when you search for shoes. But that's like, I'm a bit making abstraction of that, of the paid promotions, because today they do not have that. Like, we'll see how it looks in the future.
Yeah. Maybe have you ever bought anything from Amazon, from the Open? No, actually, you never bought anything from OpenAI because it's very new. Have you ever gotten recommendations from OpenAI that you're actually very disappointed with?
No, it's not that I buy so much based on recommendations from OpenAI. But I do use it to explore stuff.
But you've never
Like,
been...
I have this product, what are competitors, what are competing products, why do they compete, what are the features?
So when this comes out, you'll be inclined to at least giving it a try.
If it's something that I would need, yeah, definitely. I think it's easy. It will probably take a while for it to land here in the EU, right? It's just US based. It's just Etsy rolling out to Shopify. So we'll see. I actually do quite frequently buy stuff on Shopify shops, so it should be relatively easy to try.
True. Yeah, there's a lot of, like, Shopify is pretty, it's pretty big. There's a lot of, I think even if you integrate with Shopify, there's going to be quite a lot of stuff that will
Shopify is huge.
Yeah.
Shopify is huge. Online shops, there's so many online shops that run on Shopify.
You know something else that is not available in the EU, or at least not in Belgium? Sora. So OpenAI unveiled Sora 2 and an invite-only iOS app that generates videos with synchronized audio and even self-insert, quote-unquote, cameos. The model nails tricky physics, missed basketball shots, rebound, not teleport, and an API plus Android app are, quote-unquote, coming soon. If the feed catches on, TikTok-style creation shifts from filming your life to prompting it. Have you seen the videos from... So Sora 2 is out, right? They had... I saw a few videos.
Model.
A video generation model from OpenAI. So Sora 1 was the first one, and now they released the second one. I haven't tried it yet. I wanted to try, actually, but I couldn't because they're not available in Belgium. It does feel like a step up in terms of the physics, in terms of like the different videos. I mean, we don't know how much of this is edited, right? They also have a lot of funny videos, like you insert yourself or you insert famous people inside the video, right? And with audio as well. So I think you need to upload, I think I read somewhere that you need to prove that you are the person, right? So you're not creating deep fakes of someone else. And then he creates like some very realistic videos. I think a lot of it is from the videos that I saw. I imagine a lot of it comes from video game data as well, because the way that like the camera was moving and when they were running. But it actually looks really good.
Yeah, and it looks very good. The angle that they're taking a bit with this is that it starts to look a bit like they're making a social network app. There are also some rumors on this. Is that it will be a social network app and that it's really going to focus on short, let's say a few seconds AI generated content that you can prompt and then share with the world. And that indeed you can insert a cameo of yourself. You can share that with people, and you can also tag other people in your prompt. So, and then it will use their cameo in your generated video. Apparently they are using it internally. So it's creating a lot of engagement. I'm not sure how to feel about this, like a purely AI generated social network.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about it either. Maybe for people following the video, there's a quick 10-second video of this is one of OpenAI researchers. They had searching for Bigfoot. So you see like some funny stuff. I think it's fun, but indeed, like if it's a social network for this, it maybe feels more like of a virtual art gallery kind of thing. Like people just sharing what they created with this tool rather than like, this is my life, right?
I don't know, because we already see like on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, there's already a lot of AI generated content. often not very personal. This makes it easy to also make it personal. I wonder if there is if there is momentum to make something like this big. I don't think I would be happy about it. We also have like there's a big uncertainty on how TikTok in the US will look like going further. Maybe that's also part of the momentum for them to introduce something like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, the videos look impressive, but I'm wondering what they're gonna do with it. And but this is just, I haven't tried Sora 2. The videos have looked very impressive for the last 18 months of Sora, of their competitors like Veo. But when actually a few weeks ago, I tried out Veo 3, the Google competitor. And it's actually, when you actually try it out, it's a bit disappointing. Like, I think on these introduction announcements, like they always pick out the best videos.
Yeah. So it's not like lying technically, but it's like you generate 10, you pick the best one, then you get something impressive, but like the other 9 are meh. Yeah. The other thing, I tried Veo actually the other day, and it's only like 10 seconds or less.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's very short, right? And
it's very short, and then they have, so for example, but then in the Google ecosystem, you have Google Flow, which is their video production workflow, and you can use Veo 3 there, but you can only generate, like you say, like 9 seconds or something. And from the moment that you want to extend that, you can't use the Veo 3 model anymore. Only Veo 2 supports it, and then the quality becomes way worse. So
really?
like there's like the actual implementation like lacks a bit the impressiveness of the
I see.
short
I see.
examples.
But then it's like if you just follow up on that same video. So I tried Veo 3 as well. It was like the first prompt, it can be Veo 3. But then if you could continue the conversation to say generate more shots or something, it's only Veo 2.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a bit disappointing. One thing that they also mentioned, I don't remember where I saw it. Maybe it was on the announcement, that they also have a bit more consistency on the different shots. So sometimes they have the same image showing from different angles. And now Sora 2 will be more consistent of what's the position of the person, what's the face of the person. Kind of the same thing that we saw with the Genie 3 with the real world models, right? You can look away and look back and it's the same, it's consistent. I think also they had worked on this. So yeah, I think it would be very cool to give it a try. But I think as you were discussing, it is maybe bittersweet, right? Like if you see what's going to happen with this, right? Is everything going to be just now AI generated, right? But I also saw that they're going to release, they also did put some watermark for the videos as well, or somehow to try to distinguish between what's AI generated and what's not. So yeah, again, curious to see. Well, I wanted to play with it. That's more realistic. Like I wanted to play with it once, but wasn't available. All right.
We have Anthropic released Claude Sonnet 4.5, pitching it as a top coding model with major gains in reasoning, computer use, and math. It leads OS World benchmark at 61.4%, hits 77.2% on the SWE bench verified, keeps focus for 30 plus hours, and stays $3 per input, $15 per million output tokens. There are some new goodies. Plot code checkpoints, a VS Code extension, and an agent SDK that aims to turn those scores into real developer speed-ups. Yet a new model, I want to say only like 2 or 3 months after they released the 4.1, I want to say.
Yes, I think so.
Again, improved benchmarks. And this is today the top model for coding, which I think Anthropic's models have been for quite some time now.
Even though I heard when it was like the 4.1 and GPT-5, I have heard from some people the GPT-5, they had more success on GPT-5 for some things. But I think now That's a bit my expectation as well. The 4.5 is the...
Yeah. So maybe next to the new model, there's also some updates to Claude Code. Claude Code is their coding CLI. It now has integrated checkpoints. It also has an agent SDK, so you can basically, like Claude Code is, you can also basically make your own agents very easily. It has a native VS Code extension, which works quite well.
You tried it?
I've tried it, yeah. And Sonnet 4.5. So I was on the previous version before. I'm building an Electron app. It's maybe a bit specific. I can't really say that I've noticed the difference. But I'm also like just working on this one specific use case.
Okay. And using Claude Code for this, or?
Claude Code, yeah.
Yeah.
So I haven't yet had the, wow, this is so much better effect. But yeah.
But you use it.
But I'm using it, yeah.
I mentioned earlier, right? Like the agent client protocol. And I wonder if this is how they integrate it as well, because agent client protocol, something from Z, which is another IDE out of fork from VS Code written from scratch. And they also introduced this agent client protocol, which from what I understood is like, maybe that's why I wanted to check with you. So it's like now with integration with VS Code, you just have like a chat pane. But then like when you talk to it, the changes are, you can easily see the changes on your terminal, right? So it's maybe more synced. So before you have your terminal open in one window and you have your IDE open another window, and then as code is making changes on your code base, you would just have to like go and click and see where it did the changes and review them. And now it's easier, I guess. Did I understand that well? Or what does it mean to integrate with VS Code?
I think before it just didn't have a native extension themselves.
But what does the native extension do? Like,
it's
why?
It's a chat pane.
It's just a chat pane.
But I also heard it's like these. We just said it like it keeps focus for 30+ hours. That it's very autonomous. It can make decisions on what's next. What should I focus on? Should I focus on tests? Should I focus on integration tests? Should I focus on setting up a database? There are very impressive talks about this, but like I said, I haven't really seen this in practice.
But to keep focus is like focus on the CI/CD, and you only touch CI/CD stuff. That's what it's saying.
How they exactly mean it in the formal presentation, I don't know. But what I mean is that I've heard that they've let it code autonomously on a certain code base for a very long time.
To me, it's also a bit weird that they use hours.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird.
It's like if you're just thinking for 29 hours and you're actually changing for 1 hour, it's also a bit, like,
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But cool. I'm actually very curious to try this, especially with Claude Code. So did you notice any difference on Claude Code, the app itself, not the models, or? Because now they said the checkpoint. I thought it was more like if you want to go back to a state or something. But
yeah, it's that. Yeah, I haven't used that feature yet. Yeah, but it's in the app, in the CLI indeed. Yeah.
Cool. Now the models out there. And what else do we have?
Somewhat related, right?
Somewhat related. We have Google launched a public preview of a Chrome DevTools MCP server, so AI coding agents can debug real web pages, not guess. Agents can start performance traces, inspect the DOM and CSS, or check LCP. Try, quote unquote. Please check the LCP of web.dev. If widely adopted, MCP could give every dev's AI assistant real browser eyes. So, DevTools. You're using Electron app? What is the Electron app? What is it doing actually, Bart?
It's a sort of a text editor.
Text editor, okay.
But this news, the DevTools MCP, I think this will mean a big step up for AI assisted coding. I've tested it out yesterday. So basically what it is that it is a MCP server that you very easily integrate with whatever you use, right? Like if it's Claude Desktop, if it's Claude Code, whether it's Gemini CLI or Codex CLI. And what it gives access to tools like start up this browser window and allows it to interact with it, to really, with basically not just the web page, but more the DevTools pane. So it can see what is in the console. It can actually execute stuff in the console. It sees how long it takes for it to render, stuff like this. And it makes, which I think is extremely important for good performance of these tools, it makes that it gets a lot more feedback on change that is done on the code immediately by testing it out in the browser. And of course, that also immediately limits it to stuff that happens in the browser. So this is very much something that is related a bit to the web-ish development scene.
When you say, what do you mean by it reduces what happens on the browser?
No, it's linked to what happens in the browser. Like it's limited to what happens in the browser in a sense. Like if you're making like a native iOS application, like
it
doesn't help there. Like it really helps if you're making a web app, basically.
Yeah, okay. No, I get it. Yeah, no, it's cool because before you have to use something like headless browsers, I guess. There are MCP tools for that, like Playwright and all that.
Yeah,
but this goes a step further, right? Like because you have the dev tools there, which is something that the other MCPs don't have. Correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And DevTools, like, he gives very immediate feedback. Well, what you saw indeed, like with other MCP tools like Playwright, like it works by taking screenshots of the render page, and it's typically also very slow. So I tested it quickly out yesterday, and I was very enthusiastic about it. I think
so you can already use it. It's already out.
Yeah, you can already use it. And it's just like adding a few lines to your MCP server setup. It made also, from that point of view, like the developer experience is super simple.
This is really cool. I can see a lot of, if it works really well, it would be very easy to say, automate this by like create a script for me that will log me in with this and then do this and that every day, right? So maybe there's not an API available and you want to like now
to really automate stuff for you. I hadn't really thought about it like that. So it was, but I guess you could do that because you can interact with the console. What I typically use it for is really like to just, when you're working on a web app, to really get very fast feedback on changes to the code you've done, what it results in. And it makes your context when coding through an AI tool much richer. Because it immediately knows, like, I changed the line of code, but is it also like, does it give the right result or not? And normally you need to wait for the user to say, no, it doesn't look good. Or I see this error, and you need the user to have it pasted in.
Yeah.
So you get these much faster feedback loops.
Indeed.
But I think in theory you could use it to automate stuff because you do have access to the console, right?
You have access to everything, right? The console, the DOM, everything. Cool. I'll definitely give this a try. For sure. What else? What's next part?
Spotify is cracking down on AI slop and clones and pushing a DDEX standard to disclose when AI touched a track. It yanked 75 million spam uploads in 12 months and will roll out new impersonation and spam filters within weeks. Clear labeling and enforcement could calm artists and shape how AI music gets paid and playlisted.
It was about time.
It was about time, yeah. Yeah, interesting, yeah. We discussed it already a few times, right? There's a lot of AI slop being generated in the music scene. If I remember correctly, we were saying that there were estimations that like 18% of new, 18 like 1/8, % of new uploads were AI generated music, which is a lot, which is I guess a significant problem, especially when it's about cloning existing artists. I would say then it's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
I think the ethics on the other one, like on quote unquote original and music, are maybe a bit different, but when it's about cloning, it's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
And what they're now doing now is that that they are trying to build a standard. It's called DDEX, and I'm trying to find what it stands for.
DDDX. So it's here, like the standard setting organization. Actually, I'm not sure what it means.
And it's basically sort of a watermark that says AI music. This music is AI generated.
Mm-hmm.
Stands for it's a digital data exchange standard. That's probably some metadata to add in whether or not there's AI involved or not.
And then the people that upload it, they will need to add the metadata, or they're working also with the music generators like Suno and Udio.
Well, what I would think, but I'm not 100% sure, what I would think is that if you upload music, that you are responsible to mention whether or not it's AI generated. And what you will probably see in the future is that tools will do that for you.
Yeah.
Right. So recently, actually Suno. So with Suno, you can generate AI tracks, but they actually released a Suno Studio, I want to say, last week, which is really a digital audio workstation to really go the next step in generating music based on Gen AI. But I would assume that tools like these will start doing this for you going forward.
Indeed.
And then also with things like if you abuse it and if you still upload stuff that is AI generated, but it's not correctly attributed, then you probably get banned or something, right?
Yeah.
But I think the difficult thing is here is also like that it's difficult to detect whether or not something is AI generated.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. That's why I was wondering if Suno and Udio are also in on this to try to at least add the metadata to the stuff that they produce, like kind of like a watermark as well on the music, right? It would be interesting to see if this goes through, to see actually how many are flagged as AI generated. So yeah, we also discussed not that long ago how there are some actual AI generated artists, AI generating music artists, I guess. So yeah, I think the whole space is interesting.
But the impersonation is also very, it's very hard to solve because it's very nuanced, right? Like if, let's say you're an quote unquote AI artist, you make everything with Suno Studio. It is original content, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But it is very close to, let's say, Moby's style of music. Yeah. Like from when on does it become impersonation versus original content, right?
Yeah. Like if I go to Suno and I say, write this song in the exact same style as Taylor Swift and do this and this and this, and it's like,
yeah,
how much of this is actually you and how much of this should be attributed to the artist, right?
Interesting that you immediately jump to Taylor Swift.
I mean, I just what came to mind.
But even like if you don't have the AI tools, you could still do that, right?
Yeah, true.
And then you're just gonna say, "I'm inspired by." That's probably okay. But so it's a very very difficult and nuanced line there, I think. But like for me, true impersonation, when you say there's a cloned voice, I mean that needs to be banned, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Very simple.
Yeah, I mean it's a bit of a spectrum, right? Like on the impersonation end of the spectrum, okay, that's clear no. But like at some point you need to say, okay, this is okay from this point on, and where is that point and what are the arguments for it? What you said about now, like about being inspired, is the same. It's the same kind of argument that not the same argument, but what it made me think was the Anthropic case, right? How if you bought the books and you read it and then you spit out information based on what you read, that's fine. So if Anthropic had bought the books, it would have been fine. Mm-hmm. So the issue is just downloading illegally, and it's like, the thing that gives me a weird feeling is because we're also comparing AI to humans. And I'm not sure if the comparison should be made like that. Maybe we're comparing apples to oranges, but we're okay with it, kind of, I don't know.
To me, it's more like when we talk about this year, the music generation is more about correct attribution, which is very hard to do in AI. Like take for example, beat making in hip hop. Like they use a lot of samples that are from existing music or other artists and reuse those samples. But from the moment that you want to monetize that, you need to also give the correct attributions to the original songs that the samples came from, and also there's a flow of payment to the original source, and that today we haven't solved for AI, because I think if we would have solved that, it would be much easier, right? Like make a song in the style of Moby, and you do have this clear and transparent attribution and something, and you have a top listed song. Some of that should end up with Moby, but that's not what we have today, and that makes it very difficult, I think.
Yeah, but I think, like you said, even that is a bit of a spectrum, right? Because if I just say describe the music of Moby, and then it gives me like a big description,
that's again like is it inspired by versus
exactly.
Yeah, it's a very difficult one.
Yeah, it is a difficult one, but at least we're talking about it. At least there are steps towards this. I think, like we said, we can maybe all agree that there are cases that definitely should be flagged and stopped, right? Or at least be transparent. So this is a start. All right, and last
but not least,
definitely not least, we have Databricks struck a minimum 100 million multi-year deal to bring OpenAI models, including GPT-5, natively into its platform Agentbricks. Models will be callable via SQL or API, and Databricks pays the 100 million even if usage misses the revenue target. It's a bet that putting frontier models where enterprise data lives will unlock real adoption and justify the tap. OpenAI with Databricks? Is it the first, well, I know Databricks runs on other cloud providers, but is it the first time that OpenAI is moving away from only Microsoft?
What sense Microsoft? Like Copilot?
Because Microsoft, they had like a partnership in the beginning. I mean, Microsoft also owns part of OpenAI, or am I mistaken?
They have, I don't think it's direct ownership, but they have a big stake in this, yeah.
Mistaken it. Because for a while, and I think now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think it's true anymore, but for a while we would see more OpenAI on Azure, right? I think now we're starting to see more OpenAI in, well, Databricks now. I would imagine it's on AWS as well. So for me, that was the first thing that I was thinking, like, okay, OpenAI is now just OpenAI, right? It's less linked to Microsoft.
Yeah, I think it's a trend we've seen in the last years.
Indeed. And actually, have you ever used Agentbricks? I haven't used it yet.
No, I haven't. But I do think, because what they're trying to do here, and I think that is interesting, is that they really want to give users of the Databricks platform like very direct access to OpenAI. And that means that like you have a SQL query that you've made where you could say something like select this text column and create another column with a summary of that directly in your SQL.
Yeah.
And that does look like, I'll refrain from going into the robustness or data testability with that, but it looks like a very useful feature.
Yeah, for sure.
Because normally it takes, basically, to do that, which a lot of people are doing these type of things, it takes a lot of extra steps, and they're taking these steps away from the developer and to just go directly to the source.
Yeah, they're shortcutting
with the tools that you're already using. So that looks like from a developer point of view, it looks like a useful feature.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned, like using natural language on SQL, like I think maybe already some years ago, I remember that Spark had the English SDK.
Yeah.
That was like either spark.ai or parentheses or something, and then you just put something natural language, like what did you say, like create another column, and then this, when you run the Spark code, the transformation would also happen.
Yeah.
Different flavor of this, I guess. Right. And from what I understand as well, I'm also just looking here, like Agentbricks is, let me share again the screen. Production AI agents optimize on your data. So I think it's also maybe like a low code thing to do data exploration and all that, and like bringing these models closer, I think would make it easier, like you said. So I think it makes sense. 100 million, to be honest, like all these big numbers, it's hard for me to
With all these
quantify.
big numbers, 100 million doesn't sound like much anymore.
Yeah, indeed, but like, I feel like I feel like they don't sound like a lot because I feel like we're a bit numb to these big numbers, but it's still quite a lot of money. Like,
True, yeah.
So yeah, let's see. And I remember when I shared this, I don't know if I think I shared this. You were also saying you're a bit fatigued of AI everywhere, AI embedded everywhere. So I think you had a little story about this as well.
Well, no, well, I when I sent that, I just created a new account on Airtable, and you need to go through this whole AI assistant onboarding, where Airtable is a bit like, for people that don't know it, like it's a bit like Excel on steroids, and like your base is basically your spreadsheet, and I'm just like, give me an empty spreadsheet, but I'm like forced to go through this whole AI based conversation to get to something, and then they want to also not just give you the empty base, they want to set something up for you, so you need to give input on the rows, and then like in this whole conversation style, well, I just want to do 3 clicks because I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a bit annoying, right?
Yeah, you have to go through the AI bot, right? Yeah, I know what you're saying. I also had the
optionality is a good thing, right? Like you need to have the option to do it, but you shouldn't be forced to do it.
I think, yeah. What was I trying to do? I think I was trying to change the email for the invoices for a tool, and I was like, okay, I just want to do that. I went on my settings, and it's like, okay, there's no email for invoices.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, let me Google, like, okay, frequently asked questions. Like, no, there's nothing. And then it's like, turns out I needed to talk to their AI chatbot. And then I have to say, can I help you with something? I was like, no, you're like, I want to do this. Like, this is not possible. I want to talk to a human. It's like, oh, no, but you have to do this. Like, you have to talk to me first. It's like, no, but I want to do this. And then, like, there's no contact email. There's nothing. You can just reach out to them. And then you have to go through the steps of like, is this what you want? No, it's not. Is this what you want? No, is this what you want? Okay, you need to do this. Okay. Then I'll escalate to a person, and then that person will look at the conversation and help you with it. And in the end, it worked. But like, I still had to do the little AI chatbot dance.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, and at one point it frustrates me a bit. On the other, I also understand if you don't have a big support team, right? Maybe you want to force all the users to go through the chatbot. But to me, I was a bit like, I know exactly what I want, and I know I cannot do it. Just like give me a person, or just send this to someone, or just send a message, So
yeah, very recognizable.
Yeah. But I think it's the world we live in now. Huh? This is the new normal, I feel.
This is a new normal.
All right. That was it for today. Anything else that you want to say before we
Not really.
call it? No? All right. Then thank you everyone for listening. Feel free to leave a review. Reach out to us anywhere. If you have any ideas, if you'd like to be here, if you have any feedback. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you, Bart.
Thank
See
you.
you all next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.